Now, we go on to another liberal topic, and that's the ruling in Iowa. The Iowa Supreme Court has what I view to be a very, very important ruling. They're saying that same-sex unions are allowed. In fact, same-sex marriages are allowed, and that it is unconstitutional to discriminate against same-sex couples in the state of Iowa. This is the final word in Iowa on it, so now this will be the third state, along with Connecticut and Massachusetts, to allow same-sex marriages. Let me read you a quote from the decision. They were unanimous and quite strong. Quote, "We are firmly convinced that the exclusion of gay and lesbian people from the institution of civil marriage does not substantially further any important governmental objective. The legislature has excluded a historically disfavored class of persons from a supremely important civil institution without a constitutionally sufficient justification." So they were not kidding around. They weren't confused as to which way to go. They weren't torn on the matter. They said this is a clear constitutional violation. Now, Ben, I think this is really important because it's in the heartland. And it is, in my opinion, the tipping point, and here we go. It's going to sweep the country.
We won. It is unanimous.
Oh,
And you are getting married.
I knew it.
You're getting married very soon. The decision becomes effective on Monday. In a unanimous ruling today, the Iowa Supreme Court affirmed the lower court ruling ordering the issuance of marriage licenses to same-sex couples. Today, Iowa once again took its place in the vanguard of the civil rights struggle, and we couldn't be more proud or honored to be part of this history. We'd like to thank our brave plaintiffs and their families.
Get married, live happily ever after. Live the American dream.
Thank you.
It appears that the Iowa Supreme Court is likening homosexual behavior to disallowing homosexual marriage is akin to slavery and segregation. It's similar to disallowing women the right to vote. Essentially says there is no difference between heterosexuality and homosexuality. Says that homosexual behavior is a fundamental right, and that sexual orientation and homosexual behavior is immutable, cannot be changed. Even though there are, as we said yesterday, Reverend, there are thousands of people who have given up homosexual behavior and consider themselves heterosexual and behave that way now. The court has disagreed that those people exist. And apparently the court believes that there is no important state objective to having marriage be only between a man and a woman. And I would cite specifically my greatest concern is that by force of law, now every school child in every state school in Iowa, by force of law, will be forced to be taught that homosexual behavior is the equivalent of heterosexual behavior.
They're celebrating a history-making election in the state of Iowa. For the first time ever, voters booted out 3 Iowa Supreme Court justices, Chief Justice Marcia Turnus and her Associate Justices Michael Streit and David Baker. Former Republican candidate for governor Bob Vanderplatz heads the Iowa for Freedom group that organized the ouster.
I believe this will be a resounding victory, and I think this is a historic moment in the state of Iowa.
The Iowa Supreme Court unanimously ruled to legalize same-sex marriage last year. That upset many Iowans, and they showed their anger at the voting booth.
The people of Iowa stood up in record number today. They stood up for freedom by voting no against activist court.
I want to thank you for the unwavering love and support you extended to me from the day we issued our decision in Varnum, through the dark days of the vindictive campaign against us, and in the 17 months since the voters of Iowa removed us from the Iowa Supreme Court for our decision in that case. Your love and friendship remind me every day that the most important things in life are not position or power. They are the people in one's life. And because of you, my life is filled with happiness. I mentioned that this honor was unexpected. It was unexpected because when we cast our votes in Varnum, we weren't thinking about being courageous. We knew that our decision would be unpopular with many people. And as David said, we even knew in the back of our minds that we could lose our jobs because of our votes in that case. But we took an oath of office in which we promised to uphold the Iowa Constitution without fear, favor, or hope of reward. And that is what we did.
Iowans voted to retain all 70 judges and 4 Iowa Supreme Court justices last night.
Conservatives had targeted Justice David Wiggins for his decision to legalize same-sex marriage, but 54% voted to retain him. News Channel 8's Laura Nichols has reaction.
At their downtown Des Moines office late Tuesday night, leaders of the Iowa State Bar Association applauded Iowans for voting to retain Justice David Wiggins.
Iowans have affirmed their support for and confidence in Iowa's merit system of selecting judges.
At a watch party in Grimes, the group that worked hard to unseat Wiggins voiced its disappointment.
I said right from the beginning that this would be an uphill battle. And the reason it's an uphill battle, the coach in me says we're asking Iowans to win the state championship again.
In 2010, 3 Supreme Court justices were ousted after their part in the unanimous decision to legalize same-sex marriage. This election, Justice Wiggins, who was also part of that decision, was up for retention.
Judge Wiggins legislated from the bench, executed from the bench, and attempted to amend the Constitution from the bench.
The Christian conservative group, The Family Leader, set out on a 17-day bus tour campaign, urging Iowans to vote no Wiggins on Election Day.
I think what they did was spread a good deal of misinformation about the role of the courts, about the job that Iowa's judges and justices do every day.
In the end, Iowans voted to keep Justice Wiggins on Iowa's Supreme Court bench.
We sincerely hope that tonight's vote will bring an end to the harmful and ill-conceived efforts we saw this year to influence the retention process.
At the end of the day, I think we still send a very clear message. Another very clear message to Wiggins, to the Iowa State Bar Association.
Laura Nichols, KCCI News Channel 8, Iowa's news leader.